Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review of the Desi x Katy Dose of Colors collection. I have a bunch of lipsticks and lip glosses, and I also have the palette and one of the highlighters. I didn't pick up the entire collection because of money and finances, but I did pick up a lot of the stuff that I think people want to see. I was really excited about this collection. I didn't get a chance to pick up the first one, so this was a good opportunity for me to pick up some of the stuff that I may have missed out on. I really am excited for Desi and Katy. I love them as creators, and I am excited to show you guys how these products worked and how they are in action. If you want to figure out my thoughts on these products and also how to get this makeup look, then please keep on watching. So before I get into my little tutorial, I will just show you guys everything that I picked up. This is the Friendication palette. It was $54, I believe, and it comes with 10 colors. There are 5 mattes and then 5 shimmers. It is cruelty-free, gluten-free, and also paraben-free if you guys are curious. And then I also picked up the Fuego highlighter. This is what it looks like in the pan. This is from their original collection and it was re-released in their second one. This is also cruelty-free and it's talc-free and gluten-free. It doesn't say anything about parabens, but it also says that it's vegan. Then I also picked up 2 of the glosses, the only 2 glosses in there. This is the Most gloss and this is the Over the Top gloss, and these are both vegan. And then I only got one other lip color. This is the Aftermath lipstick, and this is vegan as well. It is a nice brick red, kind of with orange undertones, and you will learn a little bit more about this later, but this is one of the matte liquid lipsticks from the first collection. This is Sauvage, and this one is also vegan. So stay tuned for some of the stories on those products. Okay, we are all set up. Sorry if the lighting is weird and this looks like a mugshot. I am in the process of getting a ring light. I've just been having problems with my lighting, and it's once again another rainy day out here in upstate New York. So we're just gonna roll with it. I hope the lighting is at least good enough to show the power of the eyeshadows and their pigment, or maybe lack thereof. If there is a problem with it, I doubt there will be, but let's just get on into it. So I am gonna start off with my eyes first, and I've really been loving the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer from Too Faced for being a good eye primer. So because I trust this so much, I think that this is going to be a good litmus test to see how powerful these pigments are, or if they're not, just like I just said. Now, Desi and Katy have done their little tutorials using this, and they have kind of done it in more of the traditional sense of that they put down an eye base, but they set it with a powder or a bone-colored or white pale shadow, and then once they set it, then they go into their blending. But I am kind of more into the leaving a wet base kind of look and then going on top of it with shadow to kind of make the pigments a little bit more bright. And this goes for like any eyeshadow palette. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so I'm not going to blame the palette if it doesn't do that, but I wanted to see if I could get a blown out look if I did it the way that the new girls do it. So we're gonna see how that works. So this is the palette, and it looks gorgeous in its packaging. This is a little bit more of like a deep, darker copper color than I believe their first collection was made up of. This is what we get inside, and there was a little piece of plastic on it, but I took that off to do some product shots for my Instagram, so that was included here. And they don't have the names of the shadows underneath, but they do have them on the back. And also with the outer packaging, like the cardboard that it was in, there was a list of ingredients and stuff like that, so the ingredients will be on the boxes themselves if you want to keep those for future reference, just in case you have any allergies and you want to, report it or send back the products to the Dose of Colors lab. You can actually return them through the mail, or you could also return it in stores, because Ulta carries Dose of Colors, or at least a lot of Ultas do. We haven't even tried it yet, so why are we even talking about that? So all of the girlies have been kind of using this color, which is a Moment, and it's really beautiful. It comes off so blue on camera and in everybody's looks, but when I look at it, and especially from the side, it is so like purple. It's so weird. It's such an interesting, beautiful, radiant color. I know that I'm rambling right now, but I just didn't want to use this color. I just wanted to talk about it briefly because everybody has been using it, but if you know Jess Murphy, you know that we're not going to do what everybody else does. I have really kind of been interested in, especially since fall is coming up, or we're in fall, but it's like not really fall, you know, it's like that weird in between where it's like hot in the afternoon and it's like really cold in the morning, like, you know what I mean. So I wanted to do Dirty Money, but we're just gonna go in. I think we're gonna just settle with the mattes and Dirty Money and then maybe do Just a Kiss on top. Okay, enough for like the rambling and everything. I wanted this to be like not a long video, but can I ever do a short video? This is why people keep unsubscribing from me. So I have my whole arsenal of my brushes right next to me. Okay, I'm gonna take my relatively clean, relatively not, because who has time for any of that? My Morphe M433, it's that like kind of flat slash fluffy brush. I'm just going to use this and I'm going to apply Juro, and I'm going to do that technique where I'm just basically laying it down and then attempting to blend it out if it so chooses to. Okay, we're all zoomed in. I'm gonna kind of focus on this eye because I feel like this is my better angle. Not a lot of kick up. I am kind of just patting the brush and also swirling it, but not like that crazy swirling that people be doing. I'm not trying to ruin this palette like just 2 seconds after getting it, so I'm not going to pick it up yet, but I will show you guys at the end. I'll try to not move anything around. Yeah, let's just go. This fucking shit keeps creasing. Oh yeah. She might have just done something. For being placed on a wet base and me blending it out is definitely doing a lot better than other shadows that I have, but I do see that it's having like a little bit of trouble, which just means that, you know, it's a pretty average eyeshadow. I hate to say it like that as if it's a bad thing, because that's not. It's good that we have like a good, nice transition color that can blend on top of a wet base. So that is Churro laid down and haphazardly blended out. I'm kind of concerned only because that is such a rich color that I feel like I'm going to have a little bit of difficulty blending it out with the transitions, but so far I'm really impressed with the pigment. I'm impressed with how it laid down, and I am impressed with the extent to which that it blended on top of a wet base. I think that that is a really good sign that it's a well-made shadow, and before I get ahead of myself, I'm just going to go into some of the transition colors to kind of blend this out and see where we go from there. I'm going to take the shade Necessary, and I'm going to blend out Churro with my Morphe M573. It has the same amount of kick up that Churro had. That was pretty effortless, if I have to say that. Oh my gosh, that was really nice. That was very satisfying just as a makeup bitch, because like, even though I love the process of blending and everything like that, and I think it's really fun, you know, I think that it's also very nice when you have colors that just work together very well and just create a seamless blend, and you don't really have to try that hard to achieve that look. Next up, I'm going to try the shade Girl Bye, which is that red. I'm going to see if this kind of blends with everything and makes it a little bit more warm. I'm going to take my Morphe M441. This is kind of like a bigger and more stiff blending brush than the last one I used. So surprisingly, I think that one has a lot more kick up than both of the two shadows that I just used, but also seems to have a lot of pigment on the brush itself. So we're just gonna tap that off. I don't know why this is making me nervous, but it looks like it didn't do a lot, but it actually warmed up the look a lot. So I'm just gonna keep working with that and see how much we could build it. In general, I just want to say that these shadows are very blendable and a lot easier to blend than a lot of shadows that I actually am used to working with. I don't know, it just feels like something so high quality, and even though that I buy like a decent amount of makeup that I know will work for me, some things are better than others. Everything is not one and the same. It doesn't all work the same. But as for like this palette, like this is just one of the easiest palettes that I've worked with, at least with the mattes. Let's see how the shimmers perform. Keep on saying don't get ahead of myself, but I keep doing it anyway. Enough rambling though. I'm going to go into the color Cheens, which is short for cappuccino, and I'm going to take that on my Morphe M411. It's this nice little pencil brush, and that one has like the most kick up, and it could be because this is such a pointy brush. I don't know if that's a red flag or not, but I I think I'm just going to primarily use this to lay the color down instead of blending it because it is a pencil brush, so it's very difficult to work with. I'm very pleased with the pigment. I don't feel like it's too much. I feel like it's a nice dark brown that you can build up and develop a little bit more instead of something that's like and then you're like turning it into a black smoky eye all of a sudden. I'm just going to take my Morphe M433 that I used to put down churro, and I'm going to use it to kind of blend it out. So I want to kind of preserve the shimmer shadows, so I'll just show the kickback now. Obviously you could see that Jeans has a lot of kickback, or kick up I mean, and then churro like kind of has it like around the rim a little bit. So all in all, not terrible. And then when I lifted it up, obviously you saw like it didn't really fall anywhere or ruin the palette. I'm okay with that kickback, but that is something to be aware of. So now we're going to go in with Dirty Money, and I'm going to actually cut the crease. So I'm just using my Morphe M224, and I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through that. I'm going to do like kind of like a half cut crease, like mostly in the inner corner. They're like kind of even. So I'm gonna go in with my tried and true e.l.f. professional eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to leave this wet and see how it performs. But because of like how unique that they look in the pan as far as like the texture goes, I think that these will be top notch. So let's see. Going into Dirty Money, and this is like a dirty green color with like a gold shift to it. Let me apply this with a finger. I'll come back with my thoughts when I do the other eye because I have some things to say. Okay, so my first thoughts. Beautiful color. It is pretty pigmented. It has an amazing duochrome reflect, and I think that it's a very unique pop in color, but I felt like I had to dig my brush into the pan, and even though that was okay because there's like barely any fallout, I felt like because I had to dig my brush in there, I felt like it just completely like disintegrated my cut crease. I'll fix it up in a minute, but I felt like it just went everywhere, and then it took forever to apply it, even on the wet base, to like stand out. So then I had to go in with my finger. I feel like the shadow itself is just very rough. I do think that it's a pretty gritty color, and I don't know, I wasn't expecting that. So not like great, but not terrible, I guess I would say. So I'm just going to kind of like help deepen up the cut crease so that it's a little bit more pronounced. That took a lot more time to fix up than I wanted it to, but I guess that's just the reality for this color. I don't know, I was looking forward to this color the most, considering that it was like one of the first shades that I saw them reveal from this. So I'm just like a little bit bummed that it didn't work the way that I thought it would. It looks really nice on top of like the brown though. Maybe it's just one of those colors that you have to layer on top of like darker colors, but I would have preferred to get that warning before I did all of that. So now I'm going to take my finger again, and I'm gonna go into Just a Kiss, which is this one right here, although I'm pretty sure most of you know that color. This one feels a lot more buttery, but still has like a kind of powdery, gritty feeling to it. And we're just gonna put that over top, and that's really cool. It brightened it up a lot more. I feel like it complemented the color a little bit, like instead of changing it completely, which I was afraid it would do. Let's see what this looks like just swatched. She's popping. Just gonna put Just a Kiss on the brow bone. Okay, so that's kind of it for that. I'm gonna try to work with this a little bit more. I have to go off camera anyway to do my base makeup to get into like the highlight and stuff like that. And then I'll also put lashes on and kind of put it a little bit more together and then see how I feel about it. Even though it's really pretty, it's just not how I wanted the look to end up as. So we're just going to do that, and then we're going to get into the other product. I am back, and I look like a completely different person now. These are the Bronze Beauty Lashes from Eylure, and I just pretty much ran the same colors from the top on the lower lash line. I have a little bit of black liner in the tight line areas, and I kind of tried to fix up the crease a little bit more, but at this point this is just what it looks like. I'll have to test out a little bit more of them as we go along throughout the year, and I will give some more updates casually throughout videos and stuff. I'll try to use this a little bit more more in tutorials and things like that. I'll just do swatches right now of the colors that I didn't use, which would be Just a Moment, Game Over, and Try Me. And I'll just do swatches on the back of my hand. My fingers are relatively clean. A Moment feels very buttery, and yeah, Game Over feels a little bit more gritty, very similar to how Dirty Money feels. And Try Me actually feels like the most familiar texture of a shimmer shadow that I've felt before. So let's just do that. Shoot, I promised I wasn't gonna cry here. These are poppin', and especially Try Me is definitely the most ubiquitous of the three. Like, it had the same color payoff throughout the entire swatch, and I pressed down with the same amount of force on all three of the colors. I feel like A Moment kind of dissipated, so did Game Over, and it's a little bit more patchy, but the pigment is there, and I feel like I could definitely work with these. So now we're just gonna get into the highlight. This is Fuego, and it also came with a little plastic little wrapping on top of it, and I took that off for product shots. But this is what it looks like in the pan. It actually doesn't look that interesting, but I am excited that I picked this up. The other highlighter that came with the collection is called Chasing the Sun. That one was a little bit too dark, especially that we're getting into like the fall months. I knew that I wouldn't be able to pull that off, so I didn't purchase that. But Fuego was so popular from the first collection that I really wanted to try it out. It looks like it'll be decent for my skin tone right now. We're just gonna go ahead with this. I'm gonna use the tried and true Morphe M510, and I have a very luminous foundation on, and I didn't really powder all the way over here, so this is my like natural ingredients. This isn't anything on top of that. I have no highlighter down, I promise. So I'm just putting my brush in there, and it's a very soft formula. Like, there's no kick up at all. It's very reminiscent of the way the Amrezy highlighter from Anastasia works. It has like no kickback at all. So I have a pretty much decent amount on my brush, and we're just gonna go ahead on top of that wet base. This is reminding me a lot of Marshmallow from Anastasia. The texture is a little bit different, but the color is very similar. It definitely gives off more of that wet sheen look as opposed to like a booming highlighter. I was like, oh, this is kind of like different than what I expected, but it actually, I think, is like a really nice texture, and I feel like it just makes everything look healthier as opposed to just being like a stripe of color on the face. So I actually really like it. I didn't think that, you know, it would be that different. I thought it was, you know, gonna be like a little bit more like intense. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think that I just wasn't expecting the formula. I think that I kind of built it up in my head as something completely different than what it actually was. So I'm actually kind of glad that I tried this out for myself to kind of see what all the hype was about. We're gonna get into the lips. I have a color that was not in this collection but was in the previous collection. This is the color Sauvage, and this was the Onyx Blood-esque liquid lipstick that was from the first collection. What happened on launch day is I went right to my computer like the second that I knew it was launched, and I kept refreshing the Dose of Colors page, and I noticed that the most gloss, it was $18, and then the over the top gloss, the original, was $17. Now I was kind of like weirded out when I went into the checkout lane, but because I was just in such a hurry to get the entire collection before it sold out, because I knew that that would happen because it happened with the first collection, I just wasn't preoccupied with that. I was just like, okay. So I went ahead into the checkout and I completed my order, and then within a couple of hours they said, sorry, we charged you an extra $1. It's our fault. We had it wrong on the website. We apologize for that. So we're going to give you an extra matte lipstick. And I also got refunded. I know that I said on my Instagram stories that I didn't know if I actually got refunded and I was just getting a gift, but I did get refunded that $1. It was nice that they not only did the refund, but they also just felt bad enough that they were going to give out an extra matte lip color. Got the color Sauvage from the first collection, and I don't think I'm going to apply this today just because liquid lipsticks are in general very scary, and if I wanted to swatch everything else that I have going on here and go with a different lip color at the end of this, I don't want to like ruin all my makeup that I have on right now. So I am not going to apply this, but I am going to swatch it. So that is one swipe, and it has like that pinky reddish undertone to it, and it's very thick, and I've heard that the liquid lip formula is like really good for Dose of Colors. I wish that I had redone like No Shade and More Creamer Please, because I actually really wanted those nudes, but you can't have everything you want. Without further ado, let's get into these swatches. I'm going to go in with The Most first. This reminds me of Diamond Milk. That's one of Rihanna's new gloss bombs, which I actually really wanted to get. Comment down below if you want me to use more Fenty products. this because I will try to purchase them in the future. So this is the Most, just on bare lips. This is like a very unique reflect. There are flecks of pink, a deep red, and purple in here. That is a really unique color, and I really like those reflects. I feel like this is gonna look really good with nudes and like deeper purples and reds and some pinks even. So I really like this, and I love the smell too. It smells, I don't know, like a cake or something. I will say it feels sticky on the lips, which most lip glosses feel like that, so like it's not really worth it to complain about. So now I'm going to do Over the Top gloss all by itself. This one is just so beautiful, and I love the gold in it, and I just think that it's more satisfying for most skin tones. This one definitely has more of the gold glitter saturated in it. My lips looks like so like bloodshot right now, but I hope you guys can see like the gold color in there. This definitely is more my speed as far as glosses go, and there's more reflex, like I said, in that gloss than the Most. I feel like there was a lot less of the glitter in the Most than Over the Top that I swatched. Next, I got one lipstick from the collection, and this is the shade Aftermath. I just really liked the vibes of it because we are getting into the fall season. A color like this is very rare to come by with any collection, with any brand, so we're going to see how it applies. It's very pointy. You guys know with my Anastasia Beverly Hills Honey matte lipstick, that one was like so pointy that it was like hard to get like the shape right, so we'll see how this applies. And we have no lip liner on, by the way. As far as like saturation and glidability, like this is a really good formula. Took a while to get there, but we did it. My lips were like so aching from the 2 swatches before that it was hard to get a clean line, but that's not the lipstick's fault at all. I really liked the tip of that. Like I knew that I wasn't crazy when I was talking about the Anastasia one, because like that tip was really good at getting a clean, precise line without like feathering it too much. This is also like a beautiful color with this eye makeup look, and to kind of round out this look, I'm gonna put Over the Top on top. The worst thing is getting it all over the doe foot applicator, but there's just no way to avoid that. And this is how the Sauvage liquid lipstick dried down. It got really goopy right here, so that didn't really dry down all the way, but as for like the actual color, it's like that nice matte, but like not like drying matte, and it didn't bleed either, so I think that this is like a really good color. That is it for the entirety of this collection, or at least what I purchased of it. Okay, final thoughts. So I think that the Friendcation palette in a Jess Murphy type of style review is an 8.5 out of 10. I know that like at the end of it I got kind of negative and like, ugh, I hate like this color and I hate the way like the glitter got everywhere. I am overall really pleased with the result, and I love the mattes so much. It's not a 10/10 because I did have those struggles, but I don't think that it's anything to get mad over. The Fuego highlighter, even though I really liked it, it wasn't, once again, what I was expecting. Not in a negative way, I just think that it was a little bit different from my previous expectations of it. So I will give it a 7 out of 10. I think I'll be using it a lot, but I don't think it's like as replaceable for my Anastasia highlighter, which is like my favorite ever. Overall, it is a really good highlighter, but I think it's more of like that wet look as opposed to like the Bam, and I like the Bam sometimes. So I feel like this is a good highlighter for me to use on days where I don't want to have that Bam. The lipsticks, I don't know how the other formula is, but as for Aftermath, I definitely give it a 10 out of 10. It had a good pointed tip, it has great pigment, it has nice blendability as far as like gliding on the lips. It was really good, it was really smooth, it had a nice finish. I just feel like it's an all-around really good lipstick. I love the color, so I feel like this was a win for me, so definitely a 10 out of 10. The Most gloss, I would have to give this a 7 out of 10. I don't think that I'll be using it that often, and that's probably one of the reasons why. Also, I felt like the little glitter reflex weren't as saturated in this one as they were in the other, but I do think that the glitter reflex are actually really unique and go with a lot of different lip colors, so I did really like that. So it's not like a complete fail, but it's just once again not what I expected from it. And the Over the Top gloss is definitely really great. I would have to give this an 8 out of 10. I don't think that it was as riveting as I expected it to be. Once again, expectations, but I did really fall in love with the finish of it, and I think that it adds like such a nice tone to any look because of the gold, and the gold is a little bit more my speed, and and complements my undertones a little bit better, so that's why I also really enjoyed it a lot more as opposed to the Most gloss. Also, just the glosses in general are very easy to move around the lips. They're sticky but not in a uncomfortable way. The pigment in those glitter reflex is really good. So that is it for my final thoughts and this tutorial and showing you guys how these products work in action. I hope you guys enjoyed this makeup look and my thoughts. If you did, give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. I would like that a lot. And I hope you guys go head over to my Instagram to like those pics and product shots. That would help me out too. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.